Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have an excellent game to share with you from the 2024 Chess Olympiad. This is a round 5 game. On the white end, Gukesh D playing against Aydin Suleymanli. Okay, this is Team India versus Team Azerbaijan in this round. On board, an Italian game. And in this Italian game, now that the bishop has developed to this aggressive post, white says, okay, what are you going to do about this pin now? If you want to break it in a convenient way, you're going to have to spend another tempo with that dark square bishop. Black's approach is h6 and g5, immediately breaking the pin. Not without its drawbacks. 4 holes created. Some pressure on e5, easy enough to defend. White now supports d4 and b4. Black cuts out one of them. More development, and black gets out of the way of any d4 moves with tempo. From here, it's a3. a3 supporting b4. Given that black has made the committal decision on the king side to play g5, a plan for black would be to hang a left, go queen side. In that case, white is already ready to go, with b4 creating tension, preparing to open up a file on that wing. Another thought that crossed my mind with a3 is that a2 is vacant for the bishop. That's not really an important detail in this situation. It is not as if black is prepared to track the light square bishop with knight to a5. a5 is clearly occupied. Okay, more so about the b4 expansion. Play follows here with knight to h5. Another way to approach this position for black would be to develop the queen, develop the bishop, and prepare to go queenside. It's at this moment where the computer now suggests playing b4 already, anticipating that black is going to go with queenside castles. So this is one variation here where we could see that a3 move justified. Okay, black's approach in this game is to play knight to h5. Let me throw this position to you as a pop quiz. How would you continue here? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, this knight is unprotected and tactically vulnerable. Had its eye on the big intersection square f4. Knight takes e5 is there, however. This is a beautiful tactical sequence by Gukesh. What is black supposed to do now? In the game, it's knight takes bishop. If you take the knight, white takes knight number 1 and number 2 and enjoys being up a clean pawn. So the try here is knight takes bishop. Bishop takes f7 check, king f8, knight g6 check. In the game, king g7 is played, a bit of a curious move to be sure. Why is the bishop maybe not captured? Well, in the case of king takes bishop, the rook can now fall with check, and in the end, this knight can be captured with the h-pawn. White can follow the general rule, taking towards the center. This is maybe a structure black did not want to see. One big, healthy pawn island of 8, and a file to still work with. By playing king to g7, I believe black is saying, I want to at least see your pawn structure maybe be split. In the game, Gukesh captures the knight now with the f pawn. Notice, trying to capture the rook in this case would be a big blunder by white. It's not hitting with check, and it would allow black time to track the rook. Black is up a piece here and winning. So Gukesh needs to capture the knight. Takes with the f-pawn. If you try and take towards the center here, this rook can be rescued. Rook h7 would be a move. This doesn't mean black is for choice here. The game can continue in a few different ways from this point. We can observe a few different imbalances from here. I'll map out one of the wilder continuations from here, one where queen is kicked around a bit. In the end, the bishop falls. A more simple continuation is one where white says, let me hang on to my light square bishop. Go ahead, take my knight, and I'll play this one here where I have 2 pawns versus your dark squared bishop. Okay, how are things different with Gukesh's move? F takes g3. Well, first of all, trying to now play rook h7, that would be a terrible move because white can make use of this open file. Rook f1 would be there. The bishop is defended, knight is defended, white is up, 2 pawns here. Okay, black has to now capture the bishop. There we go. In the end, I guess, mission accomplished. At least white's pawn structure has been broken up. 2 pawn islands here. Follow-up is now d4. The imbalance we're looking at, rook and 2 pawns versus the 2 bishops. Plenty of cases where the 2 bishops will outweigh the rook and 2 pawns, but not here. And here are 2 factors that tip in white's favor. Number 1, white has a file to work with to put that extra rook to work. Another is that the black king, not having a great time, doesn't have a secure home. And there is maybe also a third factor here, and that is the minor pieces here for black. This structure right here kills these 2 pieces. They are really out of play. It's going to take some time before they're anywhere close to being productive pieces. So a lot of positives here for white. White is for choice. From here, it's king to g7. Computer is more so a fan of playing king e7, bishop d7, rook f8, looking to camp out with the king on the queen side. Black's decision is king g7. White can now castle, gets out of here any pin. There's no knight e5 move now with the king on h1. No tricks are going to work on d4 with the king on h1. Very healthy move by white there. We get a pair of rooks off now, improving the queen. We got a battery. Few different ways to potentially enter. Black cuts out all 3. Perfect spot for the black queen. Time to improve the rank 2 knight. This here is a perfect square on e3, tucked right behind the pawn. 2 possible jumps. f5. Yeah, that's looking like a really dangerous jump for the knight to be sure. Don't go too far, bishop. Also, this is a possibility. A fork. Knight's out of that. Knight f5 check. Bishop takes knight. Pop quiz. How would you recapture here? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, in the game, it's pawn captures bishop. This is the winning way for white. Maybe tempting to take with the queen, right? Keeping this open file. Got this nice battery here, but it is better in the end to create a passed pawn. We'll see why that is the case soon enough, but why is maybe capturing with the queen here not so good? Well, it's because black could influence this d4 pawn and try and gain access to the e5 square. So what would white do here? If you take on c5, there you go. Black can look forward to putting the knight on e5 one day. If you try and maintain the pawn on d4 with, let's say, queen d5, black could increase the pressure on d4 like this. Not so easy to address this threat on d4. Also, if you respond with d5 here, this is considered holdable for black. Maybe appealing, you're boxing out the knight, right? The knight has this option to get into e5. However, in this position right here, it's important not to play that move straight away. It likes bishop to b6 first here. If you try and get this knight into this newly weakened e5 square, white has queen to e6. And this post right here for the white queen is way too good, and she cannot be captured because there would end up being a runaway pawn. White's going to win the knight next move. And if you move the knight, white will soon get a queen. So in this position right here, an important move would be to first play bishop b6, and I'll make a passing move. Now black is cool playing knight to f7 because there is a good response to queen e6 in this case. With the bishop on b6, it can come back here to defend the queen. It says this is holdable here for team black. And if white is not attentive, in this case, and exchanges queens, it would immediately be winning for black. Okay. In this game, Gukesh's decision is to recapture on f5 with the pawn. This gives black something to worry about. This is the worry, a runaway passed pawn. It now has to be blockaded in a not so fun way. The queen does not like being a blockader, but it is necessary now. Okay, this pawn can't move. Time to reposition the rook to the newly opened e file. This is a square for a rook. This knight has a responsibility. If this knight moves, the rook is going to slip in there, and this pawn is ready to move next. The wheels will be in motion for team white. Black's approach here, bishop b6, maybe some maneuver like this is a possibility. Connected passed pawn now for white. c5 met with d5, boxing out the knight a bit more, taking another square away. Bishop's eyes are opened. C pawn now, a target. Bishop c5. No rook captures pawn here. In the game, it's a4. Why not rook captures pawn? Well, this would allow the knight time to then get to its dream square e5. This is a holdable position, would be a holdable position for black. Rook is on an open file, right? But it doesn't really feel like one with this knight clogging things up. Can't really break through at e5. Gukesh, far too good to allow this maneuver. He plays a4. He's saying as soon as you move that knight, I'm going to drop my rook right into the newly weakened e6 square. So in the game, it's bishop a7. Let's see what this looks like if the knight decides to make a move. There you go. Rook e6. The wheels are in motion. f6 check. Queen here. Maybe there. White is entering. Okay. In this game, no knight f7. Pretty much a shuffling strategy now for black. There isn't anything to really try. Queen e2. Preparing to invade. This is the only way to try and stir up trouble. Try and break up the connected passed pawn here. Follow up from here is a check. Important not to just say to yourself, you know what, let me watch over the g pawn with my h pawn. Because you can easily get mated. Don't forget about that bishop. Okay, time to play a bit more dynamically. Let's make use of this battery on the e file. There we go. We got a check, another check. King f7 is played here, and with that move, we don't even have to worry about the knight going to f7. So why even play king to f7 then? If you go to g7, you don't have pressure on the rook, and this would allow white to pick up a pawn. Maybe next look to enter here. Maybe recapture on g4. Many ways to continue, black ends up maintaining pressure on the rook in this game, and now white can take on h5. Got 2 passed pawns here for Team White. Follow-up now is g4. If black captures on f5, the game is over. Queen e7 is mate. So it is g4 here. Pawn runs. Still poison. This is a poison pawn. Queen e7 would yet again be mate. Queen takes f5 here. King has a square now on g6 if a check is thrown in. Okay, we have to be a bit attentive now with the queen being a bit more active to possible back rank mates. The pawn simply runs. There is no problem here for white. He can meet queen b1 check with queen e1. We get a queen exchange, and in the end, black resigns. What are you supposed to do here? Got to stop the pawn, right? Here's one winning way you can get a queen, and then land a fork. And there you go. Rook versus bishop, winning for Team White. All right, and this one, after the simple queen exchange right here, black simply resigns. So, what did you think of this one? Anyhow, feel free, as usual, to leave any feedback to this video in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care. Bye.